Yeah, see, I got that with the queen, but queen nine's not too great to go all in. But like I said before, this is a bingo game, not poker. See, this guy's just playing bingo. Ha, 2-7. Bye-bye. See, he'd have been better off playing that first hand of bingo and sticking around. Quit being a dick. Quit being a dummy. Now that king ain't popped. Watch this. Slow but sure, slow but sure. So you don't have to take them all at once. The system doesn't take them all at once. They stretch it out over usually around 55, 60 years, and then you're all worn out. Can't fight back. Here comes that king, as long as it ain't a club. Come on, king. Oh, damn. Runner, runner, queens. How's that work? He's trying to take it from you, though. Yeah, he's got a 9 or a 4 in there. There's that king 8 again. $666 chips. My, oh my, that one popped up quick. Goodness gracious. Can't get any hands. Can't get any hands. Thanks. That was an easy call. Bingo. Just because you got an ace doesn't mean you got the top hand, folks. Bingo donkeys don't know how to play the game. All they can do is go all in, hoping they can hit something, thinking they're going to scare people off of a bet. Kind of hard to do that when you're the small stack. Thanks for chipping in, buddy. And we're going to call the 60 on a 4-3. Watch, folks. Chip lead. These guys know how to play position. See, this guy's in the mode of just stressing it now. He's just going to run out the clock. Look at them sevens popping up lately. Sucker. I'll play bingo with 3 men left. My game already paid for it. See, now you can't play position, dude. You know, use clock, dude. Let me show you how to use clock. See, the blinds are 150 right now. He's got 30 seconds. They're going to go up to, ooh. See, if I bet, I can't use the clock anymore. So I just keep checking. Notice he's not using the clock anymore. No, now he wants to use the clock again. Okay, works for me. So you got to play for the long game. Can't rush it. See? Now the blinds took one hand for the blinds to go up. I can do this every hand. See, now if he, see, I get to check and use the clock. If he bets, I get to use the clock again. Now he's probably going to bet this time when I check. I'm going to raise him. Damn it. So now I'm just going to use the clock and I'm just going to fold. No sense giving him any more than he deserves. Huh? Notice how big them blinds are going. What a quinky dink. Watch him try to pull a bet on this. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Oh, nice. Okay, all time to go all in. See how he plays an all in game. Like I said, either way, I got second. Game was already paid for earlier. Oops. There you go. Keep calling, dummy. Fuck him. Come on, dude. Call it. Come on, 5 or 10. That was fun. Okay, folks, I'm out. Oh, hell, we got somebody that just didn't see you back there, brother. Come on back up real quick if you want. Come on back up if you want, brother. Didn't see you down there. All right, well, we're out. There he is. There he is. Greetings, brother.
Hey, greetings.
How you doing? Long time no see.
I know. Hey, I'm out doing a nightly walk under the stars.
That's fucking awesome, man. I wonder sometimes as I look up at them stars if they ain't just holes so we can breathe.
Maybe, but that moon is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it's much nicer at nighttime now, even though it's still a little bit summer's over, but it's still too hot during the day. Well, it's not too hot, but too hot to get out and do a good walk. Even
Yeah.
though it probably isn't, because sun's good. You know how Nubs would say, health, health, health.
Yeah. 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 It's been
But
kind
yeah,
of hot here during the day.
yeah. Yeah, I just haven't. Yeah, it's just like trying to live life, love life. Not without like taking your words, but just so we have something
No,
in
no. They
common.
go through me, brother. Use them all you want, man. Live life, love life, enjoy life, live life, love life.
Yeah, and I mean, and sometimes it's hard. It's like I was watching you the other day, and it was just like, I was like, man, I wonder what's got Wizard upset because just the way you were talking was like, you were like angry at something, and I was like, man, because I feel that way every now and again, or like it's almost like people treat you weird, and it's almost like that trial. It's almost like that. I don't
Well,
really
yeah,
want to say,
that's
huh?
what it feels like when you get in your feelers. You feel like you're on trial. So
Yeah,
sometimes you gotta let it out.
right. And it's almost like that. It's almost like a lot of people try to say that you're in your feels, but it's almost like, yeah, but I'm thinking about it logically. So it's almost like it makes you even more angry because it's logic that's upsetting you and the way things are going and what's happening. It's not just you're lost in your feelings.
Yeah, and
It's
when it comes to those feelings, many people use their feelings that they have up in their head, which is the emotions, and that's FEEL. But there's a feel that you get a feel for things. This is something that comes from your heart, and that is FEAL. And when one learns how to connect those two feels together and use that unison of reason and logic between the right brain and left brain in a consistent tempo with your heart as you take each step and each breath, um, the better you get at things in life.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, or that's what I thought. And it's almost like some of it is like a bummer that you want to shake your fist at the heavens, but you know better because it's only your inability, almost your own ignorance, even though that ignorance may not be all of your fault. You know what I'm saying? But then the
Yeah,
realization of going, man, and then you almost like it brings out feelings in that aspect of going, but then what do you do next? It's like, okay, now I'm going to handle this next. And it's almost like, it seemed like you got there at some points. It's like, man, it's like you'd have your stuff in a row and then your mind is set on a right path. And then you bump into somebody that is like blocking your gate. It's like you need to get through that gate. And then there's just somebody there just blocking it. And they're not wanting to not wanting to listen, or they're not wanting to like get past their own ignorance because it seems like ignorance is bliss for
well, yeah, and
people.
they take that ego, and this is the thing that Paul and I talk about. When people let their ego get in the way, it's actually the interference in the peaceful communications that we're supposed to have. That's the original point of controversy, and that's because you have a controversy within yourself. And people like myself and Paul that are doing an extensive job of making sure we don't let that ego of ourselves pervade ourselves, are aware of it, not only in ourselves but in others. And that's what we're trying to help correct. We're not trying to judge anybody or anything like that, but help bring people up to that level that will help them entertain their life instead of be a burden in their life. So
Yeah, I think I have a little bit of trouble in that. I don't want to say understanding, but get the knowledge of the point that if you keep running into barricades and it's actually another person, that somehow within yourself to rationalize and consider that this is a fight within myself somehow. And it's like, but that's not me. That's totally somebody else that's choosing that ignorance. That's
Right.
not me choosing that. And
Yeah.
so it's hard to like to be copacetic with, yeah, this is all coming from within me. And it's
Yep.
like, it's just only within me that I am trying to survive it, that I'm having to deal with these people or this situation.
Yep. Absolutely. Welcome, Verana Prana, or excuse me, Veracid Prana Divine. Greetings. I'm just going to call you Divine.
Divine. But yeah, so it's like I've been just hanging back and listening because it's like and feeling that, and feeling that understanding that when you're around somebody or you're in a tough situation, and it's like to knowing it's like just say I'm talking to an attorney in his office, and for some reason I look over at his desk, and there's like a little tumbler like thing, and it's got liquid in it, and something in my mind is going, this dude's a drunk almost, right? That this person, and it's almost like I need to remove myself, like this person's not going to be able to help me within my situation because of just that recognition to know if that's really in my head, that that's my knowledge taking me to that and going, look at that. What does that represent? What does that actually do? What does it mean within myself to like just soak it all in? And it's like to wonder if that was really a fight within myself or if that was me just making things up, gotten in my feelers and got all worried or something.
Right. And that's what most people tend to do is that they get in their own private world where they think about things that might happen. And because of past experiences, those things that might happen, they pop in there, and I'll be darned if that's not the thing that instills fear, even though it's never happened to them before. So the
Yeah,
guy
but
getting pulled
people,
over on the road for the first time in his life is sitting there fumbling and bumbling because he's nervous because he hears all these other stories in modern times of people just getting killed. I mean, I can't understand any better reason to be nervous, but
right,
yet they will use it as an excuse that now he's suspicious. This is just
right,
fucking stupidity.
right. Why you shaking, man? Why
Yeah,
you sweating? Why's that sweat running down off you? Because you guys have been, and it's just like that. You can't, to jumble that all up and go, you guys, and they're like, hey, man, we're not all that way. And it's like, well, you've just done it to me. You're starting on me. So it's like, how is that any different? It's just,
yeah,
it's
and
weird.
that's
It's like,
and when you use the scriptures as a foundation for yourself and as it relates to um, intercoursing or interacting with your fellow brother, Matthew 18 verse 15 tells us that if we have an ought against our brother, we're supposed to go to them in private. Well, that's the first thing they do is come to you with an offense in public. So that tells you they're already not operating in good faith according to the
yeah.
scriptures that are the foundation of all the laws of their nation.
Okay. So if, I have this deal, right? It's like that public and private thing. It's like private and public. It's like so if I had an issue with my sister and I decided to take her out for breakfast, so we could have a discussion in private, but to understand, but no, that's really in public. That's not private because if she blows up, I'm in a public place and everything's in public. So it's like, to wonder, I should have went into a closet. I should have
Exactly.
come in
Just
the
like the
hallway.
scripture says. Just like the scripture says. Do your things in private. That way you're not a publican.
Yeah, that's like the hardest thing for me to, and that to recognize just that difference in all that talk that you do about in public and private and all your communications being private. And then in some way it's like, but in some way it's like it's in public because how are they ever going to know if you basically don't publicly address them and go to them
Right.
and
And that's what happened with the post office. See, When I first went in there, it went okay, except for the fact at the end, the lady said that she wasn't going to educate herself. I was already on the notion that I'm going to call in and get a report going, so I went ahead and did that. Well, then she came back. She got notice from the people of the International Report Services, and she said she did the investigation herself through her law department and decided that they were right and closed the case. Excuse me? I opened that case. I didn't give you authority to close that case. So I opened it right back up. I went right back down there and I explained
So
to her.
what
That's
do
when
you feel she offended you? What was the actual offense according to yourself, that within yourself, if you felt something, or how do you know whether you were in your head on them feely feels or if it was in your heart? What gave you the understanding, like within yourself, that she had no right to do that? So were you
because
operating in your feels?
no, because you refuse to accept the knowledge. See, when they have a duty to follow the law and somebody gives them proper notice, the first duty in law is legal notice. And you can do a legal notice face to face and let them know there's information that's wrong. And if they refuse that, then the onus is on them. Now they're operating
Right,
in fraud.
right, because she didn't refuse it; she just closed it. Is that
Yeah.
that's like a refusal, though, right? You're just going, yeah,
Well,
we
no,
discussed it; it's
no,
closed.
that's not the point at issue. The point at issue is when I first went in there and gave her that first notice. We got to pay attention to that first notice. That first notice, she had a duty. She didn't want to act on that duty then. She wanted to wait until I went above her head, got a notice from them, and then said, okay, well, we're going to close it. No, 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 no. I opened it. I never gave you authorization to close that. So I called them again, reopened it, and established a line of communication that I was supposed to do through the Board of Governors. So I went back down there again, and this time they refused my mailing and said it was domestic. And I explained to him, no, this is international, da, da, da. And they made a big scene of it in public and called the police, telling them that I was a sovereign citizen. So,
Making up a story, right?
right. So then I called them again, and in that same open case now, I added the new offense of failure to provide international service to an international customer, demanding it be mailed domestically. And then I went back down after I got a call back from them to go back down and talk to the postmaster, the acting postmaster. So I did, and he wanted to talk to me in public. I said, no, we got to do this in private. I'm done. I'm done talking to you people in public. That's part of the issue. You don't want to accept that I'm not part of the public community. I'm an international being. I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm not a national. I'm not a United States citizen. I'm not a resident. I am an ambassador of God. I have diplomatic immunities that I'm willing to extend to everybody else involved in these communications. And you're coming at me as if though I'm a terrorist or something. I don't know where you get this. It's just ridiculous.
Right. So, and when it's public or private, so what now? All your communications with that entity or that person's going to be like email or something. It won't be face to face, right? Is that what
Well,
your point was?
no, I can go down to him and talk to him face to face, but it'll be in a back office where we have privacy. Then it's private,
Okay.
and we
Okay.
share documents.
Okay. I get it. Because that's just, it's hard for me to try to understand and like dealing that stuff in regular, because it seems like you have to go in public to a lot of places, if they don't ban you and like trespass you for not doing nothing wrong, but being there
Right,
and talking.
right. But the thing is the instrumentalities that we're using, they're being misconstrued and placing a public liability on the record as if though we're public officials. We have to learn how to give the directive that this is not for public liability. This is not for a debit against the United States, as your receipt will print out. When I get that receipt, I need notification or initialization from you that you agree that this is part of a tender that needs to be discharged, because there's still a U.S. debit charge on here. If the commanding officer shall cause receipts to be issued, the spoliated owner may obtain indemnity. Indemnity is the same thing as redemption and immunity. That's why I say I'm not one of your nationals or anything. I'm an ambassador of God. I bring the immunity. I'm coming with peace. I'm coming with love. I'm coming with equity. It's to correct the records because we're all in error. I'm not making any accusations that I don't make against myself. I've been a fucking fool all my life. I'm willing to admit that. That's the problem where other people get in their feelers.
Okay, that's a little more understandable because it's kind of weird because when you ask people to come up while you're doing your lesson, I'm just going to call it a lesson or a lecture or whatever. It's like it's kind of hard in some way. I mean, just for like me, because it's like and understanding what you're saying, but not interrupting because it's that same kind of thing. It's like you come up and you talk, but then it's like an interruption in the. It's just it's really weird because there's been some times that I've wanted to come up, but it's just like it's I don't know what that is about an interruption. It's like if it would stop the flow because I notice a lot of times that it does. It's like it's always good to talk to somebody. That's why I came up tonight because it's like not within that um, vibe or that venue. I think that this is like more private. So I'm just wondering if you think in some way like I chose correct in this way and trying to understand private from public, even though people
Yeah,
could be
this is
listening
fine.
and watching.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
fine. I really don't mind that in any venue because that's why I say I'm an open book. I'm gonna pass forward all the knowledge I've got and show you the sources. And if there's something you mentioned that I don't know, we'll do the research together on the spot. I'll show you how to
Right.
do the research and use the search engines by putting in different code words, putting them in different
Right.
orders.
That's what, and it's like it wigs me out because it's almost like when you're reading that and you're reading that stuff and talking about that stuff, it's almost like I can see the duality. I can see where they would come, where those people will come back at you and go, no, this is what it is. Because it's almost like when you say, man, it's beautiful, it's just genius. It's almost like the duality of it is almost like you're saying, it's almost like perfect because the way they come back and go, no, it's this, and this, and you're going, oh, it's this, and this. And it's almost like your mind and your eye, mine, when I'm looking at it, it reads like two different ways. It's like,
Well,
and to try to understand it, it's like, and listening to you, it's almost like, well, really, there's only one way. And I do believe that. I believe that there's truth, there's people's truth, and then there's the truth.
yeah, and when it comes to that public and private, somebody down in chat is speaking up, misconstruing public versus private as it relates to location only, and I think he's correct. The thing people need to understand about public and private is a mental capacity. It's how you conduct your affairs according to who you're speaking with by having the knowledge of what you're doing in function compared to what they're doing in function. And that is your mobility and all of that is taken as a personal character. Your physical appearance is taken as a character, but your mentality is the only thing that you have that is actually private. And so that's your private realm where the most important thing again is that knowledge, and that knowledge
Right.
should be spiritual guidance.
Right. That's one of the reasons why earlier I was saying, I should have took her into the closet because I'm not
Yes.
sure, but in my mind, there's something that's telling me, you pray in a closet, you pray in private. You don't do that stuff out where people can see you, because if you do that, you're like doing something for show instead of something for,
Yes.
um,
And that's why they
truth
have
or
them
whatever.
forms. It's for show. It's all part of the performance.
Right. Like you said, the battle of the forms. Because I'll be on the phone talking with somebody at like a business or something or trying to solve this problem, and I'm speaking to them from truth. I try not to tell them that because I'm like, look, I'm going to keep being honest with you. I'm just going to be honest with you. And they're like telling me, well, that's the way we're being. And then you catch them and going, hey, and then, somebody telling you, hey, the higher you take this, the worse it's going to get for you. And it's like, how do you not know you just threatened me?
Did you see
You
my
know what I
video
mean?
earlier where I showed them? I showed how I sent a letter to the local medical associates because they were trying to say they were going to quit serving my companion for her medical needs
I
because they
remember that being a while back, I think. I
yeah,
may have
it was
missed the
like
one.
a couple of years ago, and I reviewed it tonight, and I showed them everybody. I went
Oh,
through
I
my
missed it.
and I got that. I got the documentation they sent me so I could show everybody. Every page had nothing but minus signs. There were no pluses, multiplications, no division signs, no dollar signs, no mention of dollar, no mention of credit, no nothing. It was an impossible mathematical equation that no one can figure out. So I placed a zero value on it and gave it back to let them know that if they had anything that controverted that value, please help me understand it. And they never wrote back. So I wrote them again saying thanks for your agreement to the zero value. We appreciate the final judgment. If you have anything that would controvert this, please let us know within the next 14 days. Otherwise, the final judgment is set. And we
Right,
haven't
your
heard
own court. Is that
yeah,
what you're saying? That was a private
yeah,
court or a public?
private. It was all done through private
Okay.
communications. No one else was involved except the post office where we sent the letters back and forth
Right.
as a
See, that's
proper
why I'm trying to that's the part I'm trying to understand because it's almost like these people, it's not court, but I can think of it the same way as court because that's why I just asked you. So you really had court with these people in the private, but these people are trying to drag me to the public, to like a
administrative
meeting, to like
process.
a forum.
Administrative process. They came to us in private through the mail. So we accepted it. We opened it. We looked at it. Okay, our brother has come to us with an adversarial thing, and we're going to agree with them. We're going to agree with them. But it's not the agreement they think. So you point out the impossibility, and then they have to admit that, yeah, you're right. We fucked up. Thanks. We won't do that
Right.
no more.
Right. Because I don't know. It's like how personal, but it's like you lay your stuff out there. So let's just say I got the same thing to happen. Something happened to me, some economic thing happened. And, my account got jacked. Well, not jacked, but let's just say they discontinued it. And it was on a mistake that they did. Like they have this, a performance thing. It's like they did something, I did something. They did something, I did something. It's like a service thing. Well, they stopped doing this one point of their service that would cue me to do the part of my service, what I do in return. So it caused, let's just say, my side of the account or the contract to go, I don't want to say void, but it got a goober on it. They put a goober against me. And they didn't tell me that there was like any penalties or anything why this goober was going on. And so um, they told me that I got the next little invoice or whatever you want to call that thing that they send you. What did you call that thing that the medical place sent you?
And the statement of live, certified statement of live birth.
Yeah. Okay. No, but I mean, it was some kind of a statement of liability to say that they claimed a balance that you had a disagreement with it. You almost called it a different word than a
Yeah, a
fight.
true
They sent
bill.
you
I asked him for a true bill.
right, and you said it was some kind of an argument or something. You didn't use the word argument,
Controversy.
but yeah, or is that what you mean by parlay?
Oh, no, parlay. Parlay is bringing peace, okay?
But that's what you did, right? You were
Correct.
parlaying that situation to bring peace unto that controversy.
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
that's why I'm asking if that was a parlay, because trying to understand, because it's almost like seeing things two different ways and sometimes three different ways of how to, even though words mean what they mean, it's really weird. So these people try to tell me that I owe them a deposit or some extra money now because my account went zippity zap. And I said, hey, why would I owe you this money? And they go, it's a security deposit. Security deposit. So I tell them, well, the only way this can be a security deposit is if it also secures me, because you can't take my money to secure yourself. It has to be a two-way street. If it's not going to secure me and I don't owe it to you, you're extorting me. You're
Exactly.
basically trying extortion
Yes,
and
you
them
either do
threatening.
this or we're going to do that. And you'll notice they
Yeah,
do that with every contract that they pull with you. And implied contracts have indemnity. Implied contracts have privity. Every contract in any form has privity. That's the base foundation of the contract. In that contract, it's supposed to be equal benefit, equal consideration. That's the indemnification, that if anything does happen, you just both forgive each other and try to start over. If you can't start over, then you part ways. Those are
right.
the
So,
things that's
so
supposed
here's
to be.
the thing about that. Here's the thing about parting ways is like this service that's being provided is a monopoly. You can't go somewhere else and get this service. It's like you get it from there or you don't get it. And it's like that same thing. It's like I didn't cause my, well, I took 50% of the thing going, you guys didn't do what you normally do. You caused me to go default. So da da da. So then I told them. So then they put me to somebody higher than that person. I said, hey, look, you guys are not only extorting me, you're threatening me, and plus threatening to cause me physical harm because you're saying if I don't pay you this money, you're going to discontinue your services with me. And this money's got to protect me too. So I showed them, I told them how we could solve the problem. I said, hey, this accounts for this. This is where the money goes. You have no right to it. So you leave it in that account. I can't take it. And the dude goes, man, basically you just need to sit down and shut up because the higher you take this, the worse it's going to get for you. And I go, how's it going to get any worse? To
Yeah.
that point of going, if you'll falsify the record, because when they claimed that I owed a deposit and then they put it on the record that it was a past due balance on my part, that's falsified the record because I never owed them that money. To discontinue my service again to extort that money out of me is a falsified record. And it's like, to me and listening and everything and falsifying records and how records have been falsified from a long time. And just trying to get in my mind to wrap my mind around it because I do want to walk different in that aspect of, that story of Jonah and the whale.
Absolutely.
Well, it's almost like I feel that I'm in that, in that realm.
Well,
It's like,
it's similar to the Jacob's ladder. It's that battle within yourself, realizing the separateness of the spiritual living soul from the man and the person. That's how you maintain your privacy. If you're dealing with the person, then it's going to be public. There's no way about it. If you're dealing with the man, it may or may not be in public as opposed to operating in public, as opposed to private and passing through. And then the living soul is never seen or heard or touched or tasted or anything like that, just like the person.
right.
The man is especially being as a pass-through between the living soul and the person. If the living soul is indentured and sure and hateth suretyship, he will never bond that man in paper.
What does that mean? Just that the last sentence. To you, what does that actually mean?
A man bound in paper is a man bound to his words rather than his actions. And a man that puts his words on paper for future actions, he's got to follow those actions. Whereas if a man is operating by his actions alone, anybody can write any words down, but his actions will always speak louder. So that the words that people do write down are more than likely going to be more accurate than any general or subjective opinion of one person.
Okay, so when you say when a man acts on his own, he writes words down on paper and he has to follow those words. So it's like, so if you get words against you, like that thing that came to you, and those words were against you, and knowing that other person has to act on those words. So I see it, it's like they have to act. They may not act in the way that they're acting that's on that paper, but they have to act one way or another.
Right.
They
And you
have to
just
act. Both
you just have to
parties have
learn.
to act.
Yeah, you just have to learn how to direct them, because otherwise they're just going to do their job, which is policy, and their policy is latent to the actual law, but they pose it as the law, and it's not. So when you find the discrepancies, those are the things that you have to point out to them that show that it's an impossibility. So a lot of times it's going to take preemptive thinking through your research and experience, like I showed that letter earlier today. When they asked for when I asked them for a true bill, and what they sent me was just preposterous, I proved the preposterousness about it and asked them if they had any controversy, please feel free to bring it up. But in order to bring up any controversy, they would have to reflect that paperwork did show true value, and that it was stated and comprehensible, and it's not. This
Well,
is
it was comprehensible to the point that it was invalid. Does that
right,
make sense?
right, and this is the same thing with most of their documentation. Prove how it's inconsistent, and therefore it can't be possible. I can't serve two masters. You want me to do this, and I'm not allowed to do this, but you then turn around, I have to do this, which includes I have to do this.
Right. I think that's what throws me of why I feel like, when you're called to speak up, and it's like you're actually called to speak up. You know it within yourself, but like you said, whatever gets you scared or makes you think about something, and it's like, what's another way out of this confrontation where there's all these people against you or whatever, and it's just like you have to trust in that. And I find that, within myself anyway, that you don't trust in that and you don't speak up, see, you find yourself in the belly of a whale. And only if you're able to realize it, for some reason, not even if you're able to realize it, that almost like if you're granted the knowledge, if that doesn't sound too weird, because if you weren't granted some knowledge, you would never know if you messed up. Like if somebody really messes up bad, they're granted the knowledge they messed up bad because there's usually some consequence to pay for it in
Right.
some way or another.
And if we stood to more natural consequences rather than enforcing consequences on each other, which is totally against the law, owe no man anything but to love one another. For love one another is the fulfillment of the law. So if you're going to love one another, I certainly wouldn't want somebody hanging me on a cross to show my love.
I find a lot of people done that. A lot of people, and I don't want to like play the victim card because there's probably a lot of people that's going to understand what I'm saying. It's almost like I've started noticing it more. Before I'd miss it, but people will actually hang you on the cross and demand you get yourself down from it, as in the only way that you'll satisfy their ego or their, I almost want to say narcissism, as some reason is like, instead of us sitting down and talking to you as a person and an equal, we're going to hang you on this cross and then tell you to climb on down. Hey, get yourself down. And then for some reason, just like right now, some scripture pops into my head. I don't even know what it is like you do. You sit there, just name them off. But for some reason, it's almost like if that's what they did in the cross story, is if they hung him up there and then said, climb yourself on down there if you got it. It's
Well,
almost like,
and I analyze, and that use the analogy of Martin Luther King on that, where they put him in jail and he bared his cross by writing his way out of jail. No attorney or nothing. He just sat there in jail and started writing, and ended up with a letter that they released him on, his own words, as they passed through him from his natural essence. And it's a very well written letter. You should read it sometime. Just put in Martin Luther King Jr. letter from Birmingham jail.
from Birmingham jail. All right. I'll look that up. Yeah. I'm not really going to see, I shouldn't do that because I was talking about that to myself today. You always catch people when they go, yeah, I'm not doing this to do this. And then the next thing out of their mouth is they're doing what they said they weren't really doing. It trips me out. But I don't want to take up your whole night because I know it's late. and you were playing poker and was about to leave. But that was just some of those things I wanted to share with you because for some reason it was just like that vibe, like you were upset and you're getting better. And it's almost like I can talk to my walls, I can talk to my dogs, and the dogs love me anyway, as long as I feed them. My walls don't ever talk back, but it's almost like just that studying and learning that I was talking to myself today, going, do men? I guess this was a question. This was like a destiny thing because now that I'm thinking back through my day, I was saying, do men really help other men? Do real men help other men? Where people would say that that's something soft or that's something that's not masculine, is that if you went to like another man, or not even that you went to him for help or guidance, but that you were drawn to him, does that make you a weak individual because of that? You know what
Not,
I mean?
not at all. Not at all. It's, particularly if that man you're seeking out is in accord with your own counsel. You know, if you both seek the same counsel, then yeah, Divine put it in chat here. Words don't come back void. So if you're both in agreement with the words, it's going to come back to you with the benefit that we were talking about. Your words must be considered and therefore come back with benefit.
So that's how I would recognize. See, that's what I'm thinking. That person right there, in the, I guess in the, I want to say logic, but I'm still stuck between what's your feels and your logic mind. If that's really your feels and it's your heart, because is it really that duality of being backward? It's like, man, I'm following my heart. I got to be careful. But then people say, no, your heart's where your mind is, or that's
Right.
where your intelligence is.
Right. Your
When you think
heart,
it's your brain.
the heart is the first organ developed, and it has stem cells because that's what it was created from. In those stem cells, it creates neurological cells to start developing the brain. It retains some of those neurological cells and actually has its own brain. Now, when it comes to the feelings, as I mentioned earlier, when I'm in these feelings and expressing it on these streams, it's because I have these feelings and they coordinate. So when you see me getting loud and angry, yeah, that's feelers, that's feelings. And as you mentioned, I was quite angry. I'm tired of people accusing me of being the fraud. I'm the one exposing the things that are corrupt and how it's working and everything. And people are calling me the fraud. And that's
I
quite
knew it. I
that's
knew it.
quite
It's almost like I could feel it, and it's kind of like that same thing. It's like an understanding that same vibe is like when I'm talking to these people on the phone. It's like they're categorizing me because they didn't do something and just say you're absolutely right. We stopped doing that. They just went, we're
right.
going to extort you. We're going to extort you. We're going to extort you. And it's like that same thing. It's like, why are you and saying that because now I'm classified as a high risk something. And it's like, no, I'm not. Don't
Yeah,
classify me like that because if you classify me that way, it automatically is causing me to make sure it's not you that's really the high risk, that you can't get past
exactly.
yourself and you're
And that
projecting onto me.
and that's the issue with the postal service, you know. They project onto me as if though they know more than I do. I know better because I'm showing them things that they don't know. And rather than asking questions and do their research like they're supposed to, they're refusing to. That tells me there's something seriously wrong with both their mind and their heart, and that they're
But
really
not that law, but not those rules.
right, right.
Even though there's actually something fundamentally wrong because like you said, the record's been falsified. So you see how that duality is. It's like, okay, that record's falsified, but it's falsified, but knowing that it's falsified is the only way you can rectify the falsification
Right.
to indemnify yourself from that, but it also indemnifies them from continuing, also, like you would say, the false record. Stop recording me falsely. Stop
Correct.
talking to me
Yes.
falsely. Stop greeting me falsely. That's the
And
one that really gets me, is when they greet you falsely.
yeah, and that's the um the Trading with the Enemies Act. In 4305B2 is the part where you can give a directive in the interest of the United States so that no person's held liable. And then 4307 restates that immunity, other than no person is liable. It actually states about the immunity for the state actors. And that's why I say you come with peace, you get peace. You come with immunity, you get immunity. So if you're coming in and you're giving peace and immunity, that's supposed to be the arbitration of any contract.
I know, but that's really hard. It's almost like what they did to you. It's like, and working through that and not getting in your feelers too much, because that's where I have to try to adjust myself too, and not having like a sounding board is that you don't get in your feelers too much because they're really bringing hostility to you. Like you're going in there in peace, but they're really not coming to you in peace because next thing you know, the police show up. It's like me. Next thing I know, they're hanging up on me, blocking my phone number, and I'm coming to them in peace, trying to rectify the situation that brings security for both of us as equal in this endeavor that we have to endeavor with each other because I need that service and they actually want some kind of reimbursement for it. So it's like, and just trying to do that, but then like get threatened. The higher you take this, the worse it's going to get for you. And me already seeing some of that repercussion from that. It's kind of like that lady not talking to you right. Next thing you know, here she's going to get other people involved and then this and that. But that you stuck through it. And just for me as viewing from an outside view, because I noticed how it's like, because I watch and it's just like that. I watch more than I participate. So it's almost like you could see that ridicule. I mean, a lot of people probably did, but you could just get that vibe of that ridicule and you could just tell that you would say that same thing. It's like coin your words or purse your lips. And it's like, if anybody's ever listening to you, why are they putting you in that situation where you're going to get upset? And then people go, hey man, that's the sandpaper. That's what makes you sharper and stronger. And it's like, wait a minute, man, that's really not necessary to a point, I guess. But then you come to the whole conclusion of why I'm talking is says who? You know what I mean? Says who that it wasn't necessary. I don't think it was necessary, but whoever did it mean that
Well,
you really needed it? That you had a problem within yourself that you wasn't expressing or that would have never happened to you? I really find that like a 75-25 that no, it doesn't mean that. It just means somebody wanted to do that to you. People will say that to me. They'll go, man, you let people treat you terrible. And it's just, I believe I'm an empathetic person. I don't even like saying that because people say that all the time. But they go, you let people treat you terrible. And I go, no, 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 no. I let people treat me nicely. They choose to treat me terrible. That's their choice to treat me that way. I allow them to treat me nice. I
yeah,
treat them like I want them to treat me. And it's like a
and that's
hard reciprocal thing because if I did that to them, it's really difficult because if they're treating me bad, it means they want to be treated bad, but I'm not that kind of person.
right, and
I
that
can't.
that goes to this commercial system too, brother. As you mentioned, they want to be treated bad. They want to be treated as a debtor. They honestly believe in their heart that they're a debtor. So when we look at this thing, this is from the Postal Service on the screen, and this is the whole
Okay,
thing
I gotta
about
get my phone.
this is the whole thing about my issue with the Postal Service is they're demanding me that I use a debit card, which is accepted for all services except passport fees to the State Department. Cash back is allowed in $10 increments up to $50. And then it says if a checking or debit card has a Visa or MasterCard logo on it, then it should be treated like a regular credit card. They are refusing to treat it as a regular credit card and issuing a receipt that says US debit on it. So this is proof in the transaction that they are not treating it as a debit card as it instructs right here. Can I use debit cards at retail? And debit cards are accepted for all services except the passport fees to the State Department. So why are they issuing everybody receipts that say debit, let alone U.S. debit. That card's in my name, and it says debit on it. But it's to be treated, because it's a MasterCard, it's to be treated as a credit card. And nobody will do this. It states in plain writing.
But you know why they're not doing it, right? I mean, I know it's an impossibility to you, and I agree, but it's like, but you know why they're not doing it, because even though it says it, they're using that's a different meaning.
It
It's
doesn't.
like you keep going to the
Credit,
Cornell thing.
no. A credit
Right.
card is a credit device. It's used to obtain money, labor, property, or services. We're using it to obtain services as a credit device, not a debit device. Even though it's a debit card, it's a credit device. That's plain writing again, and that's under their
Right.
definitions.
I understand. See, that's what's really weird. And it's like, I don't really consider myself and I shouldn't do that because you never talk bad about yourself. But it's almost like, but yeah, and I'm never going to be able to explain it to you because it's like you would say, it's like, and why I won't do that to you as being sandpaper against you because it's like what you say. If you find a fault in what I'm doing or something, you bring it to my attention, and it's just like you know within yourself. You read it, you study it. Those words mean this. I'm not going to try to convince you that it's different because I don't believe that you're wrong about what the words are and how you're reading it and how you're trying to use it. It's just that confrontation of that person going, that's not really what that means. I've had
Right.
that done to me so many times. It's like, no, it's like, this is going to be really quick, but it was like a worst place issue. I was on call 24/7 and I wouldn't get paid any extra for it. They said it was part of my job, but it wasn't really part of my job. I was stepping up and doing another person's job that wasn't there. So I was doing two jobs and doing their job of being on call. Well, they made a thing so that the nurses or whatever would not go out on the weekend and get plastered. They made up a rule for on-call employees so that if they were on call, they couldn't go to the bar and get drunk. But if they weren't called in for that weekend, they would still get paid for that day because they gave their day up to be on call. So I took it straight into management, right into the big bosses and go, you sign my name right in this thing right here because I'm on call 24/7 and you have now made a policy of on-call employees and I'm an on-call employee, so I want to be paid. And I even told them, hey, I don't want you to pay me for every day of the week I'm on call, but I want you to pay me for these weekends just like you're paying these other people. And just,
Yeah.
it just wasn't nothing that them would be like, you're reading that wrong. You don't understand what that means. How do I not understand that that reads on-call employees? If something happens in this place on the weekend, who do y'all call? You. Am I really at work? Am I
Yep.
scheduled to work? No. So that means I'm on call. I can't go out. I can't leave town. I can't go get drunk, just like all these other people. And it's just like that confrontation of, you know,
Yep.
understanding not to be afraid of the power, but you still have to bend enough where you're still coming at peace, like you're saying.
Exactly.
I'm still going to
Exactly.
continue in peace, but you're also continuing in I don't know if I want to really say it adversarial because it is. It's a battle of the forms.
Well, no, you're not going to get involved in the battle of forms. You're going to do the correction. Greetings,
Oh,
Mr.
because I thought that's what
Jeff.
that
How
was. That
you
was a
doing, brother?
form. That card of credit was actually a form that you were battling with that form with another form of trying to, match him up or do battle against it. Of
Yeah, but
going,
you get
I,
them to do all the paperwork. Again, this is a matter of giving them private communications, giving them directives, because they're already the trustees. So you're not getting involved in filling out the forms. You're getting involved in explaining the knowledge of the forms in your own private communication to give them a directive.
so I mean, in your mind,
So I use
why are
reference.
they not? Why are they not accepting the credit? In your mind, why would they refuse to accept the credit of that
Because
card?
nobody's been doing it that way for a long time. Nobody's educating themselves. They're just doing what somebody else tells them without
So
doing the
what?
research.
Okay, so what is a normal person that takes their credit card and goes, cha-ching here, and flies it on the counter or runs it through that machine? What are they doing wrong? What is the difference than them taking that card and sliding it through that machine than you taking that
They're,
card and sliding it?
they're not establishing the private communications, letting these people know, hey, I'm not a public official. I'm not a resident. I'm not a national. I'm not none of those things. Those things don't apply to me because I'm not any of the public officials or agents. None of them.
Right. So
You are.
you're using what they've provided that as a service.
Yes.
And
And we're
they're trying to
benefactors.
classify you wrong. They're
Right.
improperly classification. Same thing I've been talking about, and I guess you've been talking about too, is an improper classification. Calling people sovereign citizens and calling people and be careful not to be a person, be careful not to be a man, you know. And it's like that. So you go to that all the time, and it's almost like, oh, I don't know if you can find that as a walk within yourself in the spirit realm, as to go, wow, man, that's not my throne. I find myself in that argument a lot. It's like, that's not my throne. I'm not stepping up to take that throne. I didn't earn
Yeah,
that throne.
I come to raise God and praise Jesus. You want to know anything else? We can talk about it. What's up, brother Jeff?
Hey man, how's it
So,
going? Happy birthday. Did you have a good birthday? Or born day?
Yes, awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
Got all
man.
cleaned up and everything.
Yeah, I know. Looking sharp. Looking sharp. I don't even know. I can't call you a wizard anymore. Maybe we can call you Mr. Heckle.
There you
How's
go.
you know what I was thinking about? Like, because the way, like, I've asked the same questions and everyone's just kind of fearful about the paper, like how you do all these things. But I think when it gets like down to the brass taxes of it, like Wizard says, it's about your faith in yourself and in God. And basically no one else can fucking touch you. I mean, screw all the paperwork, all the monetary shit, like everything. It's like sometimes I just sit back and think, yeah, no one has any authority over me but me and God. And if you really have faith in that, and then that's because I know it's like a little confusing when people say put it in trust and like, well, how do you start a trust? It's like, well, trust is just your word on paper, and you're recording things, so you're keeping record of your own things, your own possessions, and everything that you have in this realm. But everyone wants to. Our minds are so compartmentalized on like you have to go on this certain route or do this certain thing. And that's kind of where that's where I've had like a hang up with it all. I'm like, well, how do I do it? And it's really just as simple as not agreeing to anything, which almost sounds like anarchist in a certain way, but just believing that that you believe in the Most High and that's got your back, and you don't really have to submit to the system or any kind of contracts. The only contract you have is between you and your spirit, yourself, with what's inside of you as a person or as a man.
Absolutely, and that's why I say, it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit, I think people have misconstrued. The Holy Spirit is our observances from Mother Nature. The Holy Spirit is feminine, and the masculine is the Father in heaven, and we are the Son, male and female, created He them.
Yeah, hey Wizard. So and I'll segue into this, and this is what reminds me of it because I'm in nature all the time. So today I'm putting out predator bugs. These are called So these are like little wasps, there's 100,000 of them in this little bottle that I'm about to go spread, and they love caterpillars. And these other bugs that I put out today, they're other like really mini wasps. They look like ants. And I put them in like four corners of my greenhouses. And supposedly they will go sting an aphid, which aphids are so small, and they will impregnate every aphid with their eggs. And it just makes you look down, like on a downscale level, like there's so many tiny things going on that no one will ever know or pay attention to. And I mean, even me looking at these eggs, I'm like, there's 100,000 eggs in this thing. How is this supposed to work? But it's like, you start watching the caterpillars, the wasps, the mites, the predator mites, and all these things work symbiotically, like in nature. It's like, and then I've had a bunch of quail in my garden. I don't even know what the fuck they're up to, but I think they're eating bugs and doing other shit. But it's like, there's a whole nother world that no one ever pays attention to unless you are in the garden or you are in nature, just to see how things work. And it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty humbling. And it makes you just think that everything else in this world is just a distraction. Because if you paid attention to the little things around, then, nothing else really matters. Nothing else can really touch you.
Absolutely. And that's why I say it's important to observe Mother Nature, because that is your position. That's your spirituality. He who is whole is in need of no physician. And how do you keep yourself whole? By protecting yourself through Mother Nature. You have to be aware of the dangers, and that's done through your observances in all forms,
like
whether your diet or the creatures that you live in and amongst. You have to know their capabilities and whether you're on their fucking menu.
Right, like that snake, yellow and black. Look out, Jack. Red and yellow, you're safe, fellow. I mean, just things like that from snakes or whatever whatever
Yeah, you
people
don't
come
need
up
to know
with
the
in their
name.
mind. Right.
Yeah, you don't need to know a name to know whether it's dangerous or not. You have to have your own observances.
Or even like, I met these girls at the river the other day. Like, I had to do just a reset, make myself go to the river and get away from work, And I met these ladies I was talking to, and they were like, one of them had poison ivy or poison oak, pretty bad. And she's like, ah. And I was like, like in nature, wherever there's a poison or a toxin or something, the remedy is like right next door. And I said, when I got poison oak out here in this part of California, there's red clay, and you can literally rub it on your body like it's mud, and it soaks up all the oils, and it doesn't spread, and immediately it doesn't itch. Nothing happens. So it's like there's always a cure right next to every poison in nature. It's just the way nature works, it seems to me.
Absolutely. We're
Yeah, like I said, I needed to spray it off with that.
I love my nature. I spent 7 months up in the mountains living in a tent. One of the most amazing times of my life. Observing the forest floor. Mother Nature gave me sights I've never seen. Not just these here you see before you, but I had a couple that were pretty special.
Are you showing pictures or something?
I am.
Oh, because hey, I'm going to ask you a favor because I had put my phone in my pocket, and for some reason, I mean, I don't think you can see me, right? Is my
Right.
avatar still up?
Well, I've got everybody down for now, but yeah, you're total
Oh,
black.
Yeah, because I something happened, and I'm afraid if I go back, I might get cut off. So if I get cut off, can I just log back in?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'd
yeah,
like to see what you're doing. Because I couldn't see that other form you were showing either, but I didn't want to interrupt. Okay, I'm gonna see
yeah.
if it works or not works.
Nature's beautiful in many ways. It tastes beautiful, smells beautiful, looks beautiful, feels beautiful. You just have to have an in-depth knowledge of how to observe things yourself. Again, this is the thing that the public education system destroys. They destroy the living soul as such a young being, and they don't ever get into the experience of learning themselves through their own observances. They're repeatedly shoved down their throat the same things generation after generation, and with slight changes here and there. Industrial revolution, we went to a very carcinogenic world, and that was one of the major changes. But still, people have this ego that they think they can destroy nature. Nature will balance itself. You're fools. Keep regulating out plastic straws and paper wraps so you can use plastic straws and paper wraps so you can use paper straws and plastic wraps. You're really not making that much of a difference.
Yeah, I saw a picture today on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and someone was like, it was like their windy straw like went flimsy through the middle of it, and he was like calling out the windy straw, but next to the windy straw was a plastic Wendy's cup.
Yeah, that's
The
another
irony,
point.
the
Yeah,
irony.
that was another thing I pointed out. You're gonna talk about plastic straws, but forget about all the other plastic, like the huge plastic cup with the plastic lid that you put that fucking plastic straw in.
Exactly.
Stupid. And
They're
this
gonna
is what
blame.
tells you
They're
that
gonna
people
blame
don't
it all
know
on
how to
climate
observe.
change, Wizard. They're gonna blame it all on climate change, and they're gonna lock us back down. They're gonna try to lock us back down. Supposedly, it's coming again, but I say hashtag never again. I didn't fall for it for the first time, but
Yeah, I
I
don't
hope.
think too many people will fall for it again.
Yeah.
Not for 100 years or so, anyway, according to history. The same thing happened in 1921. Go look at historical records. You'll see people walking around with masks all over the place.
Yeah, it wasn't like. Well, I thought it was like the 1917 Spanish flu or some shit. Where they did that same shit. And there's the same articles saying that wearing the mask gives you more bacteria in your mouth and face than not wearing it. So you're just breathing in your own bacteria and bullshit. So
Yeah, see, they already did the experiment, but they've got new lab rats, so they're going to do it again. See if the population is dumbed down some more willing to
well,
accept.
that's why I wonder like how many times like history's repeated itself, because all we know is like maybe back to our great grandparents and they can kind of say something. Everything else is in books, but before that they can pull the same tricks. Whoever they is, they can pull it over and over again, and none would be like people would be none the wiser. It's kind of like when even in Germany with all that shit. If that was real, if it was not, you can't really ask questions about certain things, but it seems like the same thing happened. Like the same people that they can mind control and guilt trip and say, "Oh, you're going to kill grandma, you're going to kill somebody else. Why don't you have some compassion or empathy? If not, you're a killer." You know, it's a really good way to gaslight people and make them feel like shit.
Yep, and that's why I urge people to get out of their feelers, and you'll find out that people can't gaslight you. Once you get out of your feelers, then you deal more with the truth as it is. You're not letting your emotions distract you from that truth. You begin to learn how to use your reason and logic to a much more effective degree.
So you think that being brought out of the dirt was like basically the womb of the earth? So it makes Mother Nature and makes like God the Father.
Well, I often wonder if God created man or man created God. It's very plausible from both perspectives.
So when you follow those things that you say, so like if you say Ezekiel passage, verse, um, do you consider that within yourself? Has that ever been a conflict within you to think, am I just repeating a man-made God? Is a
No,
man-made God?
I'm repeating a comprehensible, reasonable, and logical concern. When it comes to morals and stuff, there really is only one basic thing to remember. There's right and there's wrong.
Right. And in a man-made God, though, the thing that I think, I'm not sure if it concerns me, but I'll just say that it concerns me is in that walk or that going, is this really my walk with creation as being a part of it, of to go, or is it me creating a God to follow because I'm insecure in my walk and somehow need to be led? But then it's like, and then it goofs me because it's almost like, well, now I just found a way to second guess myself, or it's either I found a way to second guess myself, or it's what's causing me to second guess myself. And then I have to ask myself, well, is this my conversation with God? Or is this my conversation with myself that's created this God so that I have someone to follow so that I can feel important or not important?
A lot of it is. Again, it's like I said, people have to come out of that ego, and that's that battle of Jacob's ladder, Jonah the whale, realizing that you're your problem.
I know that's the part that kind of worries me too, of that trying to get past that don't get scared thing, or like the other person was talking about, that if you just like accept in your mind, you're going to be okay. And it's like, man, I really don't want to do this, but here I go. I'm going to do it. It's almost like, that's almost like, oh, and hope nobody gets mad, but just to understand, that's almost like, oh, please forgive me for saying this, the Talcodian experience. Yeah, and it's almost like weird because it's like I believe that, and that's what I found hard about that experience. The Talcodian experience is because in somewhere there's truth in that, and it's like people can't deny that there's truth in that. That you actually have to. It's not it's by works, but if you don't have that faith in the first place that to do that work to accomplish that purpose, it's almost like then you fail and you end up in like the Jacob's ladder or the Jonah's whale because you were supposed to speak. You were supposed to do this, but since you didn't, if you're your own problem, it's like, yeah, it's kind of worrying that it's hard for you to trust in yourself, even though you have to trust in yourself or you'll never take your right foot and put it out there and then take your left foot and put it out in front of that one, because that's the only way even babies have to do that to even start not moving forward, but to walk upright, I guess you might say. To actually, like you would say, there's a truth and a false, and you can walk upright in truth, or you can, I guess, and some people would say walk upright in false, but because a lot of people lead their their self by a lie. I've had a lot of people do that. It's like I get upset at them because they're lying, and they get upset at me because they don't like hearing the truth. Because, like they
Exactly.
say, the truth hurts. They go, "Well, it wouldn't hurt you if it wasn't the truth," and it's like, no, all that lying's what's and it's really weird because you can't like get it in your feelers because it's like you said, they'll manipulate you that way. But I've had a lot of people do that. They manipulate with the lie because they don't think there's any way you could know the truth. And it's
Well,
almost like,
and that's like I was down at the bank the other day trying to establish a trust account, and they didn't understand what I was talking about. And I said, well, listen, let's make sure it's very clearly understood. I know the law says I'm not supposed to be passing these Federal Reserve notes that you're handing out as Federal Reserve agents to people that are not Federal Reserve agents, despite the law that says they're for advances from Federal Reserve institution by Federal Reserve agents and for no other purpose are allowed. That's a felony. She says, so what?
I know it. See, there we go. Because that's what really gets me too. Because I go in there and I'll just say, I go in there to pay my water bill, my sewer trash water bill. And they're like, hey, you're going to pay in cash or card. And I'm going to go, well, hey, isn't that really weird? Because I'm going to pay in something you didn't even request. And it's called, right on here, Federal Reserve note. Now, see, what's wrong with this picture? And it's like, so that's what I ask them, and they're looking at me all strange because this is like a third way of something they didn't even ask for. They said cash or credit. And this clearly reads Federal Reserve note. It doesn't read cash. Nowhere on it does it read cash. So it's like, well, no, we'll take that. That's cash right there. And I'm like, well, it's like that weird thing. It's like, where does it say cash? It's almost like it's so crazy because even on my like water bill, it says past due is this date on here, right? So I go in there and I go, hey man, how much is my late charge going to be? And they go, what makes you think you're going to have a late charge? And I go, well, because this reads past due and it has today's date on it. So it reads that this is today, it's past due. And they're like, no, it's not past due. Today's the due date. And I'm like, but no, it doesn't read date due. It reads past due. And it's like, how
And
do
they don't,
people not?
yeah, they can't comprehend it, and it's right in front of them. Well, we don't understand. It's supposed to be date due. Exactly. It's not. There's something wrong with the record. Do you not see it? Well, no, that
And the lady didn't. She had to get the manager. The lady gets the manager, and the manager comes out and she goes, oh, well, no. And she tries to tell me the same thing. And it's just like, and a part of it, I just looked at her and I said, we all went to school, and I'm not advocating the public school system, but, I was a product of the public school system. And it's just like, if we can't comprehend this as adults, then somebody's doing this on purpose just to mess with people. Because it's
yep.
just like that. What are you going to do? What are you going to do in 3 months? That's going to read past due, and you're going to charge people penalties and then tell them, look, it clearly reads past due right there on it, and flip the script.
Yep.
And then jack with everybody because they got them thinking it was really, no, that's really the due date. And it's like you guys have just flipped the script and trap everybody into a financial windfall, I guess you might call it. I don't know the proper word for it, but another extortion technique in some way. It's like you were saying this one time I was listening. It was about services that I'm pretty sure it was you. I don't watch too many people, but it's like services that are almost implied. It's like there's certain services and stuff like that for people and elderly people that you can't just not give it to them. Like water or air. You know what I'm saying? Somebody just cut off your air supply and said, you got to start paying for that. And it's like, we're already paying for it, but then the double pay for it and the triple pay for it and the late pay for it. It's almost like I guess somebody was saying like a triple tax. It's a way to triple and quadruple tax people to make them pay for services that are necessary. right? Because we're not in a tent in the mountains, even though how good that feels and stuff like that. That when you're in a I don't even want to say society, but I guess in something in a dwelling within a place where there's services that those services could be provided. Because when you were in the mountains, and it's not saying you couldn't go get water, but if you were next to a thing and had the proper thing, the water's delivered to you by, even in the situation you're in, you could find water, possibly, right? Find food, find vegetables or plant vegetables or do all kinds of other stuff, but then those lands get closed off. I don't want to get rambling and get off track as we were talking about settling controversies or something in private. It's like, so if I go to this meeting in this big city to try to, because they want like an arbitrator, they go, hey, what we do is if you have a problem with us, we send you to the Corporation Commission. And the reason we send you to the Corporation Commission is because we know how much we're in the right. So we send you there. So I go, that's your way of, like trying to skirt the issue. You know, they're trying to skirt the issue of they're the service provider. I'm the customer or consumer. They're trying to skirt the issue and going, we're correct. It doesn't matter what you say. We're going to send you to the Corporation Commission. And that's where you have to do your, I almost want to say battle. It's like, well, why would I battle with the Corporation Commission? They're not, I don't have a problem with them. But it's like really weird of trying to figure out then where the private would be if you go out right in the microphone in front of the desk full of 5 or 10 or I've never been there before, but then go, is this thing working? You know how private that is. Do you think that's private communication? Getting
Well,
sent to a place like that and have to tap on the mic?
well, no, you've got to, again, it's like you mentioned earlier, going into the restaurant. You know, it can be a private setting, you know, because it's just a private conversation between the two of you. But again, if it goes outside of that realm, then it becomes public.
Okay, so as long as it's within the form, wow, that's really weird because I guess that's private. I'm gonna have to listen to some more and just understand it. It could be just a following the instinct kind of thing, you know. Or is it just like private until you really feel that they're trying to, almost like that bar in the courtroom that you shouldn't go past. You know what I mean? It's like you would say, or other people would say, that if you try to go in there and if you get somebody else, it proves you're ignorant or that you're babbling or whatever. And it's almost like, um, yeah, it's almost like that same thing. It's like, because whenever you go into these situations, you're actually calling court, even if it's a private issue or a public issue. One way or another, you're calling a court into session to rectify a situation.
You should always be courting your neighbor. This is bringing the word of God. You should always be speaking in peace and love. That's your court, and you should always be in it.
Okay.
Well, listen, it's going on 12 p.m. here. So
yeah.
I'm going to scoot. I appreciate you coming up and having the conversation. Please feel free to do it anytime. Just remember, when we're on topics of things, I don't mind the short interludes, but we want to stay on topic and things. But tonight it was an open forum, so I appreciate you. And again, everything really does have something to do with the other thing. So again, it's a matter of being able to correlate it and then stay on topic.
Okay. And I appreciate you because you were heading out and you came back on and let me up. So I appreciate the whatever you want to call this, conversation or just the meeting of the minds or the wills or whatever. And I
Yeah,
really
we were just
appreciate that
sharing.
you took the time.
Yep, we were just sharing.
Okay.
Well,
All right. Thank you.
yeah, God bless everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Good night.